After my son's funeral, my daughter-in-law changed the locks and said, "This is my house now." The sound of the lock clicking into place was louder than the echo of dirt hitting my son's coffin. I stood there on the porch, still dressed in black, my hands trembling around the casserole dish someone had forced into them after the funeral. The key in my palm, my key, suddenly felt like a useless piece of metal. I tried it anyway, out of instinct, out of denial. It didn't fit. For a moment, I thought I had the wrong door. But no, this was the same white frame my husband had painted 20 years ago. The same brass handle my son, Daniel, used to hang from as a child, laughing as I scolded him to get down before it broke. My house, or at least, it had been. The door opened just a crack, and there she was, Melissa, my daughter-in-law. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes red, but not from the kind of grief I understood. Her expression wasn't broken, it was guarded, defensive. "Why are you trying to get in?" she asked, her voice flat. I blinked, not quite understanding the question. I live here." "No," she said, her grip tightening on the door. "You lived here." I felt the ground shift beneath me. "Melissa, what are you talking about? I just came back from." "I know where you came from," she cut in, sharper now. "We all did." A long, suffocating silence stretched between us. "I changed the locks," she added, as if explaining something simple, reasonable. "This is my house now." The casserole slipped slightly in my hands. "Your house." "Daniel's house," she corrected. "And now that he's gone, it's mine." Her words landed like stones. I stared at her, searching her face for some hint of humanity, some flicker of the woman who had once hugged me at her wedding, calling me Mom, with tears in her eyes. "Melissa," I whispered, "I have nowhere else to go." She hesitated, for just a second, and in that second, I saw it, something soft, something uncertain. But then it vanished. "You should have thought about that earlier," she said quietly. "I need space. I need to start over." "Start over." My voice cracked. "We just buried my son. And my husband," she snapped. The door closed. Just like that. I stood there for a long time after she was gone, staring at the wood grain, as if it might rearrange itself and let me back in. But it didn't. That night, I slept on a bench at the bus stop 2 streets away. It wasn't cold, exactly, but grief has a way of making everything feel colder than it is. Every passing car sounded like Daniel's old pickup. Every shadow looked like him walking toward me, hands in his pockets, that half smile he always wore when he knew I was worried about him. I didn't cry, not at the funeral, not on the porch, not even now. It was as if my tears had been buried with him. Instead, I sat there, clutching my purse, replaying everything over and over again. The accident, the hospital, the way his hand had gone still in mine. And then, Melissa, her voice, her eyes, her words. "This is my house now." I didn't understand. Had I missed something? Had there been signs? Tension? Resentment? Daniel had always said things were fine. "They just need time," he used to tell me. "You know how strong personalities can clash." I had believed him. I wanted to believe him. Because the alternative, that my presence had been a burden, an intrusion, was too painful to consider. A bus pulled up, its brakes hissing softly. The driver opened the door and looked at me. "You getting on?" he asked. I shook my head. I had nowhere to go. The next morning, I found myself standing outside a small diner a few blocks away. The smell of coffee drew me in. Inside, it was warm, familiar, safe in a way the world no longer felt. I sat at a corner table, trying to make myself as small as possible. A waitress approached, a woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and a tired smile. "What can I get you, honey?" I hesitated. I counted the money in my purse. "Not much. Just coffee, please." She nodded, but her eyes lingered on me a moment longer than necessary. When she returned, she didn't just bring coffee. There was toast, eggs, a small bowl of fruit. "I didn't order this," I said softly. She shrugged. "On the house." I shook my head. "I can't." "You can," she interrupted gently. "And you will." Something in her tone made it impossible to argue. "Thank you," I whispered. She smiled. "Name's Carol." I nodded. "Margaret." "Well, Margaret," she said, sliding into the seat across from me uninvited. You look like someone who could use a little company. And just like that, the walls I didn't even realize I was holding up began to crack. I told her everything, not all at once, not neatly, but enough. She listened. She didn't interrupt, didn't judge, didn't offer empty reassurances. When I finished, she leaned back, exhaling slowly. That's a lot, she said. I nodded. What are you going to do? I don't know. She studied me for a moment. Then she said something I didn't expect. You can't go back there. The words stung more than I thought they would. I know, I said quietly. But that doesn't mean you have nowhere, she added. I looked up. What do you mean? She smiled. A real one this time. I mean, she said, we're hiring. The diner wasn't glamorous. It wasn't where I had imagined I'd be at this stage of my life. But it was something. A place to stand, to breathe, to exist without feeling like I was intruding on someone else's grief. Carol trained me herself. I learned how to balance trays, how to remember orders, how to smile even when my heart felt like it had been hollowed out. And slowly, something shifted. The regulars started to recognize me. Morning, Margaret, you're getting faster. Best coffee in town, huh? Their words were small, simple, but they mattered. More than I could explain. Because for the first time since Daniel died, I didn't feel invisible. Weeks passed. I didn't go back to the house. I couldn't, but I thought about it. Every day. About the photo albums still in the closet. The letters Daniel had written me when he first moved out. The quilt my mother had made, stitched with pieces of our family's history. I wondered if Melissa had thrown them away. Or worse, if she simply didn't care. One afternoon, as I was wiping down tables, the bell above the diner door chimed. I looked up, and froze. Melissa. She stood there, hesitant, as if unsure whether to come in. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Carol nudged me gently. Go, she whispered. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked toward her. Melissa. She looked thinner, tired. Hi, she said softly. What are you doing here? She swallowed. I wanted to see you. I crossed my arms, not out of anger, but to keep them from shaking. You found me. I asked around, she admitted. It wasn't hard. Of course it wasn't. Small town, small lives. Why? I asked. Her eyes filled with tears. And suddenly, she didn't look like the woman who had locked me out. She looked like someone who had lost everything. I made a mistake, she said. The words hung in the air between us. I didn't respond. I thought. She shook her head. I thought if I took control, if I claimed the house, changed things, I could survive it. By pushing me out, I asked quietly. She nodded, tears spilling over now. I didn't know what else to do. I studied her, really studied her, and for the first time, I saw it. Not cruelty, not malice, just fear, grief. The same storm I had been drowning in, only she had tried to fight it by building walls. And I had tried to endure it by holding on. Neither of us had known how to do it right. I kept his things, she said quickly. All of them. I didn't throw anything away. I couldn't. My throat tightened. The house, she continued, it doesn't feel like mine. It never did. It just feels empty. A long silence followed. I'm sorry, she whispered. And there it was. Not perfect, not polished, but real. I exhaled slowly, feeling something loosen in my chest for the first time in weeks. You hurt me, I said. I know. I thought I lost everything. I know, she repeated, her voice breaking. I looked past her, out the diner window, at the world continuing as if nothing had changed. Maybe that was the hardest part. That life didn't stop. It just kept going. I don't know if I can go back, I admitted. She nodded. I understand. But, her eyes flickered with hope. I don't think either of us should be alone in this. The words surprised even me. But once they were out, they felt right. True. I don't want to fight over what's left of him, I added. I want to remember him. Together. Melissa let out a sob. Raw, unfiltered. I'd like that, she said. That evening, for the first time since the funeral, I stood in front of the house again. The same white frame, the same brass handle, but this time, the door opened before I could reach for it. Melissa stood there, holding it wide. Not guarding, not blocking, just offering. Welcome home, she said softly. I stepped inside, and for the first time, it didn't feel like something had been taken from me. It felt like something, fragile, unexpected, but real, had been given back.